This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with my Lime Boots. The Lifestyle Edit.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. It's a Thursday afternoon. It is now 4 o'clock and coming to you live from 27 Boxes in Melville this afternoon, Soapbox Radio. Welcome to today's show as we take a pleasant trip along the garden route with someone who has the garden route flowing through her veins. Before we get into the show, thank you for the great response to last week's show with Jackie McQuay-Wilson, who updated us on her vegan keto journey. As usual with Jack, she left me with quite a bit to ponder, and I hope the show impacted upon you in a positive way. The results she has seen from her journey are truly amazing and inspiring. Good health really is within the reach of us all. Back to today's show, let's chat to a lady who says she will go wherever there is history, adventure and food.
Yo, what's up? Baby, let's go.
But let me introduce you to today's guest. She is a self-proclaimed road tripper of roads less travelled. Chances are you'll find her off the beaten track and on the path less come by. An explorer at heart, she makes her way around southern Africa on foot, horseback, bicycle, and in an Opel Corsa masquerading as a 4x4. With her camera to hand, supported by a backpack and an inquiring mind, she will take you on a journey to discover culture, food, history, and many other interesting tidbits about this rather diverse corner of the world. Forgotten places and secrets of southern Africa are on her travel itinerary. Now that we're all on the same page, let's jump straight into today's discussion. Welcome, Travelbug Rose.
Well, hello.
Hi there. Did I sum you up correctly there, Rose? Have I introduced you adequately?
Yeah, that sounds about adequate.
Sounds
and
right,
it's probably a little bit added touches of spices here and there, but yeah.
That's what life's all about, the spice of life, eh, Rose? Okay, Rose, talk to me about your love of travel. Where does this come from, and how did you get into travel writing and travel blogging?
Sure. So my love for travel actually comes from a very adventurous mother who basically used to sit around a map of Africa and point a place and say, wonder what's here, let's go there.
Yeah.
You know, and her interest for not just traveling but also of different colors, historical stuff, food stuff. I mean, we were not the kind of who basically traveled and went to places and lied on a bed and with a book. You know,
Yeah.
She would drag us around just museums, show us interesting things, learn about birds, learn about plants.
Yeah.
So getting to know the people. So yeah, coming from this was instilled in us, which was great for me anyway.
Yeah.
I learned to get to know my own country extensively, and then getting to know or becoming a blogger was kind of by accident. I actually had no idea what it was. I kind of got to the garden route in 2011, and all of a sudden started using social media extensively to get my reach for the garden route because of my marketing background. And then one day I became tourism manager here, and then one day got fed up with everything, got on a yacht and started traveling on a yacht all over Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Okay.
And as I naturally do, you know, every place you land, you kind of start taking pictures and finding out about the history and looking at a temple and watching street food and parades and culture, and you start sharing it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And 8 months later, when I came back to South Africa, as I was going and talking, everybody was saying, "Oh, this is our blogger," and I'm like, "What the hell is a blogger?"
Well, it seems to be something that you were doing at the time. Yeah.
Kind of with default, yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing the impact parents have on our lives, Rose. You know, that mother sitting around a map, instilling something in you that would last for years and years, probably for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and she is still my road buddy.
Oh, really?
She is
Okay.
literally a South African encyclopedia.
Okay.
Very broad-minded, very liberal woman, and which I love to death. And
Yeah.
she taught me a lot of what I do know today.
Okay. Rose, you have a rather unique approach to travel. Talk to me about this.
Well, I don't know if other people if you call it unique. I probably just find it completely natural.
Yeah.
I kind of have a way of, when I approach something, is kind of standing still and and quieting my mind and seeing how it actually makes me feel from inside.
Yeah.
And especially if it instills passion. I mean, I am very much about the little things, because it's a lot of times little things we miss that makes up for the greater part of our lives.
Yeah.
That gravel road, why did they build it? Why should I be going on this road that takes me to another place?
Mm-hmm.
And probably with a whole bunch of, a quizzy mind, I've always want to know why, where, though, what, where does it go?
Yeah.
With that kind of approach. So with that kind of approach to life, and I approach everything like that in life. Nothing is just accepted to me. I need to know why.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there. When you approach something with passion, then you communicate a story, and then what you do is different and is extraordinary. It's not just the run of the mill. I went to this hotel and I arrived on a Tuesday. That content's boring. I think when you find a passion and you find something that you're going somewhere because there's an interest in some aspect of why you're going there, that makes for great content, as opposed to contrived and trying really hard to take good pictures. Good pictures are a good part of it, are a main part of it. But I think when you have that passion, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah.
And it's also, I'm kind of dyslexic as well. So a lot of times my grammar and my spelling isn't perfect, which was extremely daunting.
Yeah.
But because of maybe a creative mind and passion, and visual storytelling is important to me. I want to try and capture what I see and what I'm experiencing at the moment, and try and do it over. And also listening with kind of a different way, listening with your mind, listening with your
heart,
with your whole being, and just not sensing the whole moment.
I'm with you. How long did it take you to actually get the blog up and running? I mean, obviously people were saying these things about what you were posting on Facebook. What was the time frame from then till actually getting Travelbug Rose up and running?
Yeah, well, to be kicked under the butt. I came back in 2013.
Yeah.
Or was it 2014, the beginning of the year, and people saying, start your own blog. And I was too embarrassed because of my little glitch in the grammar.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. The first time, it was 4 years ago, that I almost 5 years ago, that I basically wrote my first blog. And it took me about 3 days to hit the button, publish.
Oh, it's frightening. I still get a little bit nervous before I push that publish button.
And then it was actually Vaughan from Travel Manual, and he said to me, Rosebug, you need to get your own website.
Yeah.
And then through his encouragement, I actually did.
Wonderful. Did you ever see it being a means of earning an income, or was it just a passion project for you in those days, Rose?
Well, it started off being wanting to tell my story and kind of recording it for myself as well, telling my stories, because a lot of it gets forgotten or gets by the wayside. Yeah. It's almost like owning a lifestyle diary in the cloud kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I want to tell my story. I want to share with people what I see, and people started liking it, and I thought I saw value in it.
Yeah.
And then I have written blogs for other people who, as a financial income as well.
Sure.
And I've actually had some of my blogs gone over to publish in newspapers, but most of the time, I also see it as a way to tell stories about, not just the garden route, about South Africa. And I don't care what anybody says, I am completely passionate about my country.
Wonderful. That's good. It's good to hear. In one of your posts, one of your blog posts, you call yourself a girl with an inclination towards a passion for adventure. Talk to me about this and how you live this out, Rose.
A girl, I always, I paraglide. It's one of my activities. And I have to be, I'm an adventurous type. I have an adventurous mind. I don't think that is stemmed from whether you're male or female.
Sure.
I think that is stemmed from the person who you are instilled in. And it doesn't mean that you have to be whatever, it doesn't mean you have to be a boy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I fly paragliders and people say, oh, look at you, you're pointing your toes. And I'll go, that's because I fly like a girl.
Exactly. Well, how else does a girl paraglide?
Yeah, and why would I not put lipstick on when I'm
Exactly,
flying a
yeah.
paraglider or riding a bike
Yeah.
or whatever it is I do?
And look fabulous doing it at the same time.
Absolutely. There's
Yeah.
no reason not to be a
Yeah,
girl.
yeah. Wonderful. I love that approach. I'll be back shortly with Travelbug Rose. Stay tuned.
Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at MyLineBoots. You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with MyLineBoots.
I'm chatting this afternoon to intrepid adventurer Travelbug Rose. Rose, earlier this year you went on a motorcycle tour as AKA Tours launched their new route, a motorbike route. That sounded fascinating to me when I read that post. Was it not a bit daunting?
Yes, it was, because I haven't ridden a motorbike for 25 years.
Sure,
I used to own one.
Okay.
And but I'm always up for a challenge,
Yeah.
and yes, I spoke to Brett and Yavanka, who are the owners of AK Tours, and they were like, we need someone with a motorbike license who can ride a motorbike. And I'm like, ooh, motorbike. They go, yeah, but it's only a little 190,
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay. And the second of all, it was off-road, and I prefer being off-road,
Okay.
back road.
Yeah.
It's away from traffic and things like that. And also it's, you're alone out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that it takes away from my ability, because you obviously learn your ability of riding a bike or a motor car, those kind of things. It doesn't leave you.
Yeah.
So I kind of got on the bike. It took me a day quickly of learning, and which was an extensive of 545 kilometers, and 3 days later, I did it. And it was so funny that nature just kind of threw everything at me.
Oh, really? Every challenge?
We had rain, we had mist, we
Yeah.
had
My word.
dust
Okay.
clouds, we
Where-
had wind.
Where did you guys go traveling? What was the route?
Okay, so basically we left Mossel Bay.
Mm.
And we went on to R01, and we hit to the back roads via the old Seven Passes Road, down to Knysna, then up the Vlucht Road, where, up into Uniondale, Port Alfred Pass,
Okay.
Port Alfred Pass,
Yeah.
up into Uniondale, and then into the Baviaans.
Sure.
And so into the Baviaans, not completely through the Baviaans, just on the edge of it at 8th Span, stayed there, and then came back into the back roads of Oudtshoorn, all past the Grootfield Paradise,
Yeah.
and then back into Mossel Bay area.
Oh,
So,
sounds
it was really following all the old routes, and also known that the garden route consists of 80% of gravel roads. So
Okay. Sure.
it's conducive to that kind of thing
Yes,
now.
perfect. I mean, that Seven Passes trip is something that I've been wanting to do, drive the Seven Passes. It must have been phenomenal.
Yeah, Seven Passes Road is obviously a great history part of what we do, because it connected George with Knysna. And it was 75 kilometers, and it was built by Thomas Bain. And Thomas Bain obviously built a lot of the roads in South Africa.
Yeah.
And it was built on the old elephant tracks, because the elephants were the animals who found the perfect balance.
100%. Speaking of daunting, Rose, what freaks Travelbug Rose out? Does anything freak Travelbug Rose out?
Yes. Plastic.
Okay. Plastic. Okay.
Plastic.
Yeah.
Not breathing fresh air and
Yeah.
not having clean water.
Okay. No, that sounds like a good doable list. Yeah.
But I'm not really scared of anything.
Too
I
fussed.
think.
Yeah. Oh, life is to be lived and adventured and experienced, I think. Sure.
Except maybe a spider, but
Oh, no,
I've learned to like those too.
No, I can deal with spiders. Snakes for me are the big issue. I just don't go anywhere near snakes, Tell me, Rose, how do you maintain your feminine edge in your writing, especially when writing about such adventurous pursuits, which I suppose traditionally have been associated with men?
Well, I seem to be able to think like a boy in a way, but I don't. I like being a girl. I've been I've been in the mail industry for many, many years, starting my life with in engineer, or first of all, South African Army, then second of all in engineering, and one thing to the next. So you're kind of always surrounded by male company. But I've soon learned that you need to stay a girl. You need to be able to be a girl, stay a girl. You don't have to lose your feminine. Feminine is pretty. A lot of people are attracted to the both sides. I just don't like the drama side. But I like looking pretty. I like styling my hair, putting my lipstick on. I like wearing a dress. I like putting on a pair of high heel shoes. And that it's just kind of something tender, and I might be an extremely adventurous person, but I don't necessarily. I do have an extremely soft side, and that's probably what comes through in my blogging as well.
Yeah. So being a lady on these adventures, Rose, do you believe you get a different experience from the trip other than what was possibly planned initially by the tour operators?
I don't kind of think about what, before I deal with anybody, I tell them, this is who I am. And they approach me because of how I approach it.
Yeah.
And for instance, the Baviane's trip, I mean, they specifically wanted a lady's perspective. And I wanted to give them a lady's perspective because the whole technical side of it's not that difficult. And the way you approach things might be a little bit in a girl way. I mean, why would you not make sure that you have the perfect pair of sunglasses, or make sure that you have your right lip ice, or wear the right underwear.
I really liked your tips for riding like a girl in that motorcycle and that blog post about that motorbike route that you did. Very, very interesting tips for riding like a girl. Do you want to share maybe one or two with us?
I think that was one of them. I think
the lipstick
was good. The lipstick.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. I can't. Sorry, I didn't actually read.
Right, I remember the one was riding with correct underwear. That was one. I'm not a specialist in female underwear, but I'll take you at your word if you say that's the right thing to wear.
Well, I can put it this way: don't ride with a G-string. It's not
really? Okay, it's not for the faint of
sitting
heart.
on your bum for a whole day.
Great, guys. I'll be back shortly with Rose, and we delve into her corner of South Africa, the Garden Route.
You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. Share your thoughts and be part of the show now. Send a message on Twitter or Facebook at My Line Boots.
I'm back this afternoon chatting to intrepid adventurer Travelbug Rose. Rose, you are based along the Garden Route of South Africa. Tell me why this part of our lovely South Africa?
Yes, interesting, because born and bred Joburger.
Oh, really? I didn't know that about you. Okay.
I was sent down to the Garden Route in 1985 by my mum to come and join the South African Women's College. And let me just tell you this: I wasn't a very good soldier. I wasn't very disciplined.
Sure.
But it introduced me to the forest of the area, and I'll never forget the first time I saw an Outeniqua yellowwood. This forester guy just took me into the forest, a whole bunch of us into the forest, and I saw this massive tree with a circumference. And I just put my arms around and looked up at this tree, and I completely fell in love with this tree. I couldn't believe the magnificence of it. And I kind of felt a very beautiful energy in the Garden Route, especially this part between wilderness and Knysna. It's like, there's a beautiful energy here. And I just decided there and then, at the age of 17, I decided this is where I'm going to live one day. And then when my life in Johannesburg went all pear-shaped, and I've been in the travel industry for so many years, I decided to come down here on a whim and a prayer.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing I ever did. I just embraced the area and started exploring every single corner I can find.
Yeah. So tell me, Rose, what are some of your favorite things for you as Rose to do in the Garden Route?
Well, of course, first is flying, paragliding.
Yeah.
In love with the air. There's no feeling in this world like pulling up a glider and feeling the breeze of the southern coast and feeling that kind of saltiness in your face and breathing fresh air and taking the first step and taking flight. And sometimes flying with eagles. So that's one thing I love, being on freshwater places. There's so many places just to get in a canoe and go and paddle, visiting waterfalls where you fresh enough water where you can swim in and even drink from. The hikes here are not killing you, but you can easily go on a hike somewhere and completely love it. Even the ocean part, you can do simple things. You can simply just throw on a backpack, put a hat on, take a cup of coffee, flask, and head for the beach and do a beautiful walk from Sedgefield to Hokama for a day, and explore the oyster banks and the old fossils and things like that. There's so many simple natural things to do in this area. Besides the crazy adventure things that people, you can pay for, there's the simple natural adventures, and it also makes you appreciate nature. So that's probably that's who I am.
Do you think the garden route lends itself more to an adventure type holiday, or does it cater for me who wants a long weekend and just maybe somewhere like the Turbine Hall Hotel? Have I got the name right?
Yes. It caters for everybody, Ryan. The garden route is for the natural explorer, to the sportsman who wants to run in forest or cycle single tracks in the forest, to the person who is crazy about lifestyle and food, because huge food culture in this area, and slow food being one of our things that we actually really appreciate in this area, because our food is natural, comes from it's sort of earth here, sent to our markets. There's restaurants here that you slow food cooking, and then of course there's the other lifestyle person, the person who enjoys a little bit more luxury, who wants to go on a beautiful sailing yacht and drink champagne and overlook a view and that kind of thing. It is more natural. We don't have the fancy movie houses and the shopping malls, and
which is a great thing.
It's not what the goal is really.
100%.
It is, because we are so overstimulated by all consumerism that we forget just to switch off and breathe. Actually,
100%.
Kick off those fancy shoes, roll up a pair of pants, and put your feet in the sand and go pick a pansy shell on the beach.
And what I like about the garden route, Rose, is that it's so easily accessible from just about anywhere in South Africa. You can just jump on a plane and make a long weekend of it, even if you don't live up the road.
Absolutely. And not only that, from Johannesburg, a flight and hiring a car is simple. You can head in any direction. From Cape Town, it's to where I am, it's about 450 k's. And the route from Cape Town to the heart of the garden route is so beautiful on its own. It lends to a road trip. From Port Elizabeth, it's a mere 285 kilometers, which is another beautiful road trip, even, along the east coast. And then from Hetitikamma, you hit the garden route. And Bloemfontein is another place. Durban might be a little bit further, but you can basically reach the garden route. And and the nice thing about the garden is we have the best, most moderate climate on the planet. On the planet,
so, really? Sure. Okay, so it's always a good time to come visit you guys down there.
Absolutely,
100%. Rose, talk to me about your photography. I think your imagery is phenomenal. What do you shoot with, and what interests Rose from a photography point of view?
Well, my visual side is obviously my creative side. It came from basically wanting to tell stories with a camera, and I paint basically, or capture moments where I think is a moment. So, and I never thought about it as photography. I thought about it as a visual storytelling. I want to tell you a story. I want to share something with you, and I'm trying to capture the moment. And Ryan, I don't actually have a fancy camera. I have a little Canon HS 65 power optical zoom. Cost me about 5,000 Rand. It fits into a backpack. You throw it into a backpack. It's hardy, and you just head out and go. And it really, if you learn a little bit about photography, a little about aperture, a little bit about your stuff, and put some little bit effort into your photography, you can make it. It's not what you shoot, it's how you shoot it, and how much effort you put into it.
I think it comes back
and of course,
sorry, carry on.
and then of course your own creative look at things, because your creativity is very important.
Very much. I think it comes back to the passion that we started speaking about at the beginning of the show. If you somewhere, and I was looking at a picture of one of your blog posts where it's you popping out of a railway bridge. I don't know if it's that bridge in Franschhoek or maybe somewhere else along your side of the world. When you're passionate about a certain image or capturing the story, and I think you're so right when you say it's visual storytelling as opposed to photography. When you're passionately telling a story and wanting to capture that in the image, look, obviously good equipment's always nice to have, but if you've got that, I think you're 85% of the way there, even with entry-level equipment. I also don't shoot with fancy equipment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of times I stand and look at it and I drool at a camera and I say, I wish I had the money to buy that. But, my little Canon my PowerShot has been such a gem to have. And it really has done me well. And it's easy to adjust and it's easy to grab and get out there.
That's what it's about.
So, I mean, I do sometimes look at some of these and I go, oh, wish I had that. I can do this. But, you work what you have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that one. So tell me, Rose, what has been your most exciting find this year of 2018?
Sure. I think I kind of I've pondered about this question when you said to me, and I haven't quite have defined this year as yet.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think my little trip to Bovians and also discovering the other back roads of Uniondale via the passes there was a new discovery for me with motorbike. I didn't know about that place, and I didn't realize that they grew so many things in that area, like the fruits and stuff. Like, I didn't obviously. If we're not talking about the local area, my other thing was obviously I went to Dubai this year, which was quite, quite something else.
Yeah. Okay. So where would you like to return to, Rose? Somewhere you've travelled in the past. Where would be that one place that you'd want to go back to for a second visit?
I think Cambodia.
Okay.
Cambodia. I think Cambodia hasn't seen the last of me.
Yeah.
Would love to go and just go. There's so much in Cambodia. I travelled there for a month.
Sure.
And went from town to town and experienced a lot. And I had first 3 days I had an extreme love-hate relationship with Cambodia, but I left there in awe. Really left there in awe.
Really, has that really impacted you?
Yeah. And mostly because of the genocide. I mean, if you want to go read about genocide, please go and read about Cambodia and the Khmer Rouge. And what amazed me about it most of all, and impacted me so much, was that the people let go of the past and they moved. I mean, half of Cambodia was wiped out, the population, by their own people, and they just smiled and they got on with their lives. They picked themselves up and they created a new future for themselves.
Yeah, wonderful. Interesting story. Tons of stories to tell that side, I would imagine.
Okay, there's so much.
Yeah,
so much.
Sure. So, Rose, tell me, as we start to wrap up, in addition to travel, writing and blogging, you are busy with other projects. Would you like to share some of those with us?
Well, I've kind of worked intensively with tourism communities in the area. Worked with Plet a lot, Plet Tourism, trying to promote some of the area. Closely working with Nisen Tourism, part of their media, to also trying to get some reach out there. Wilderness Tourism, which is a private initiative, and slowly there's a few other emerging things that's on the cards. Trying to get to basically market the garden route out there and getting stuff out there, and also evolving people. And so I also do workshops for people about social media and also about the approach of things. Hard projects. I have in the last year with the fires, which today is the anniversary.
Oh, today? My word, really?
Yep.
Okay, sure.
And I was extremely involved with the Hope for the Honeybees project, which was basically because of the fires, the bees couldn't get away, so most of them burned, and I got involved with Hope for the Honeybees and also with Gift of the Givers. which came on board with Hope for the Honeybees and Honey Child, we basically put the message out there, got it out there with social media, telling our story, and getting reach out there. And we had extremely beautiful stories about Hope for the Honeybees. The honeybee population here has really done well. It's not where it should be yet, but it's done well, and nature's been so resilient, and I'm very proud of that. And of course, then the other thing is the tree projects. So trying to plant more trees in the area, which is the Precious Tree Project, and it's headed by a guy called Ray Nolan from Wilderness. And we basically encourage people to, every time they pay a bill, is to add 150 Rand or whatever to their bill, and putting that and buying a tree, and then we go and find places and actually revitalize the place and decide, which trees you're going to buy and which trees were for the area. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Rose, as we wrap up, where can the good folks get hold of you if they want to find out more about Travelbug Rose, read about your adventures, or find out more about the garden route?
Okay, so I am at Go Travelbug. If you Google Go Travelbug, you'll find me somewhere. Yeah. But my website is www.gotravelbug.co.za. My Facebook page is Travelbug Rose Blogger. You can find me there. And also wildernessSouthAfrica.co.za is one of our initiatives. And we have a Facebook page, which is Wilderness South Africa. And then Explore Knysna is one of my other initiatives. I'm in another initiative that I'm involved in. They have a website called www.exploreknysna.com.
Great resources available there. If you guys have a look and see on my Twitter and Facebook, I've just posted all of Rose's contact details. Be sure to get involved and in touch with Rose. And that brings us to the end of a show that has really got my wanderlust flowing full throttle. Rose, I wish you safe travels, mind-blowing discoveries, and photos to last a lifetime. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for sharing with us.
And thank you for having me, Ryan. And I'm looking forward to having you visiting us.
Yes, definitely. You're sparking my mind in terms of Knysna and many other thoughts. I'm sure we'll be doing some stuff. And those honeybees have sparked something in my mind too, but we'll chat about that. Thank you very much for your time, guys. I hope you enjoyed our show this afternoon, and as we expose you to some new routes and new areas in South Africa. Hit Rose up, have a look and read about her content. You really won't go wrong. She writes from an extraordinary point of view. That was Soapbox Radio, and I'm out of here.
You've been listening to Soapbox Radio, podding it out there with my Lime Boots.